Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Solio Analytics podcast. This is Pras, and I'm joined, as usual, by Jonny, who's not in that great of a mood because he just watched Newcastle play.
Don't make fun of me immediately. I've only been gone a week. Yes, Newcastle have lost. They had a good first half and a first leg, but the second half was not pleasant viewing. So be it. But Gordon played up front. He's back. He's not ill. Osula came off the bench, our £5 million striker, rather than our 70 million or our 50 million pound striker. So
we have to talk about Newcastle actually, because
they
they'll
are
be a
relevant.
big talking point for this
They've
week.
got a big game, another big game on Sunday against Sunderland. Fortunately, they're still heavy enough favourites that we're looking at their assets, and they might have a double later. But yes, let's see. Thanks for. Yeah.
Yes.
How did Man United do in Europe?
Nice one. Nice comeback. Yesterday I made this, obviously now a very common meme about 8-2 lose for the Chelsea one. And then obviously I got so many comments on what were Man United doing. Yes, Man United are not in Europe, I understand.
Classic, yeah.
So I had to come back to this.
Should be back in.
They're doing all right. And as we have teased it out, Man United, Newcastle are going to be, front and center of our discussion today because it's game week 31. It's a blank game week. Man United have a game, possible captaincy. Newcastle have a game, possible captaincy. I don't know. We'll chat about it.
Yeah.
And then there's the guy on our thumbnail. Again, such nice work by Alex Volo. That thumbnail looks beautiful. So Fulham are in the equation as well. So what we're going to do today as an agenda is it's a Friday deadline, so it's not going to be a monster pod, but it's going to be something where we'll discuss what has changed in terms of fixture permutations since last week, because, European games have happened, a Premier League game has happened, and by the way, Salah is on a goal and 2 assists, just to tease out the owners.
Lovely.
Despite
missing a penalty.
Captained him last week, so Liverpool look like they're through, but I digress. So we'll talk about what has changed. Why does the Palace game tomorrow matter so much, and does it matter? We'll see. We'll talk about it. Then we'll do a little bit of a demo on, there's people who are not yet sure, and I get a lot of questions on, should I do wildcard 32? Should I do wildcard 35? What should I do today to put myself in a position to be to be agnostic between the two? And so the answer is stochastic optimization. So we're going to show you how you can do it, where you make a move today, where you're almost not committing to either strategy and almost putting probabilities on each. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about a preview of Game Week 31. Who should you be transferring in? Should you use all your transfers dead end like we used to do it traditionally, or save some transfers for the future captaincy and bust teams, right? Anything else?
No, that sounds good. Yeah, all sorts. I'm very excited about stochastic optimization. Sounds fancier, but basically, you're hedging across a few things. And this is a very specific week for that, because we know that international break coming up, FA Cup quarterfinals coming up. Once we get to 32, we're going to know almost everything about the rest of the season. But we need to get through a blank to then get to that. So what do I do now to make sure that I can make a good decision in 32 rather than...
Exactly.
Committing down a certain path now, whereas that's what we used to do. But all looks very good. Nice. So I'll start with what's changed in double and blank game week land. So the only thing that's changed since last week is the European ties, essentially. So why that matters is because if both teams in a fixture are out of Europe, then there's more midweeks that it can move to. So if, for example, Arsenal are quite likely to make the FA Cup semi-finals if they beat Southampton. If they make the Champions League final, then the only, they'll have 2 spare midweeks where that could go, 33 and 36 are the 2 midweeks where there's no European competitions. Whereas if they were to have lost to Bayer Leverkusen yesterday, then 32 opens up as a midweek, 33, 35, and 34 as well. So actually it could stay in the same midweek. So we think that a lot of them might move from 34 to 33 anyway. These are the clashes in 34 with the FA Cup semis. But Arsenal are through, so it doesn't matter that Newcastle got knocked out. Doesn't matter at all. Don't worry about that.
No one cares.
No one cares, exactly. So Arsenal, Newcastle, if Arsenal were to beat Southampton, which Pinnacle have got their odds about 88%, so heavy favourites, but could be an upset. You talked about, it's kind of prime conditions for an upset for Southampton because Arsenal will be coming just back from an international break. They'll be playing on the weekend, and then on the midweek they'll have their quarter-final against Sporting, the first leg, and then it's the Premier League match, and then it's Sporting again. So, it's a tough time to put that fixture, but yeah, still heavy favourites. And because the semi-finals of the Champions League are in 34 and 35, then we can't wait to see if they lose to Sporting. So Arsenal Newcastle would have to come forward to 33. So that's the kind of cleanest one, so to speak.
Is it fair to say that pretty much the odds for Arsenal to double in 33 now is 88% as well?
Basically, yeah.
That's where it can go, right?
Yeah, I mean, they can. 36 and 37 are free. So 37 is the one where it's got the FA Cup final on the weekend, and then the Europa League final in the midweek. So that's where we get things a bit fiddly with the sort of Liverpool game, because Villa play Liverpool in 36. So Arsenal Newcastle could move. They could decide that they don't want to move it to 33 for some reason. They want to move it to 36 or 37. And then even if Arsenal make the FA Cup final, then their game week 37 fixture could move to 36 or 30, whichever one has gone in. So they don't, if they miss 33, they haven't completely messed up, caused a pile-up.
Yeah.
But
we
for all
were
intents and purposes, we know they're proactive. We know that they want to bring it in. They specifically put no teams in Game Week 36 last year because actually they've got, I think it's the Championship and the League One playoffs. Sky have things to show on TV then. So they don't specifically need to put Tuesday's on and there's no sport. We want Arsenal Newcastle there. So yeah, for all intents and purposes, I'm sort of covering bases more than saying I think it'll go to 36. It's very likely.
And that's an important thing for people without a free hit or a wild card who are looking to make transfers this week to potentially play through in 33, for example, if they're not free hitting in 33 or they don't have a free hit. So therefore, I think that makes Newcastle a lot more attractive in that scenario because they have a good fixture this week and they are 88. I'm going to go with 88 still. Percent likely to double in 33. So that's an interesting sort of sidebar from that. But let's go to... So the question is let's go to Chelsea first.
Yeah.
Because Chelsea are out of
Chelsea's
Europe.
Similar, but Chelsea are now out of Europe. So 34 is free the midweek if they wanted to move it back. The reason we think it might come forward to 33, is that it's one of the only ones that fits on the Tuesday for a TV pick. So they might not want to bring it forward. They might want to push it back, which they did last year with Forest Brentford. Neither team was in Europe, so they were all out. So they put it back a week because it got blocked by TV picks in 33. But Brighton Chelsea is the only one of Brighton Chelsea, Arsenal Newcastle, Burnley City, Liverpool Palace that could fit on the Tuesday. I think Bournemouth Leeds might fit there as well. But there's still reason for them to bring it forward for TV pick reasons, basically. So they're more likely to beat Port Vale. They're at home to Port Vale. They don't have a UCL quarterfinal just after it. They're 95% likely to go through by Pinnacle. But the chances of them specifically doubling in 33 is probably slightly less than that. It's not 50-50. I'd say it's still more likely than not they come to 33. And by game week 32, we'll know because they'll have to have told us. Because after the international break, once Chelsea have beaten Port Vale, if they beat Port Vale, they have to say, okay, it's coming to 33 or it's not. So by the time you make your decision in 32, you should know. But again, it's such a high probability that I think these are the two people are kind of almost banking on being like, okay, if I want to make some assumptions to make my decision making simpler, Brighton, Chelsea, Arsenal, Newcastle into 33 is reasonable assumptions.
But is it so? In this one, I can't say it's 95, right? I have to take some ratio of what if it stays in 34.
70, 75 maybe as a ballpark, 70 to 80.
Okay.
I think you're kind of estimating because we don't know what the Premier League's thinking. But there's reason to believe that it would come forward. Whereas we think that a West Ham Everton or a Bournemouth Leeds, we don't think there's any reason to bring it forward. They'd probably rather put it back into 34 with no European stuff. So that one we think it moves to 34, whereas Brighton Chelsea, even though if Chelsea had beaten PSG, obviously it would be, the same. 34 would be blocked.
Yeah.
You can't bank on them losing in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. So yeah, it's there's two things to be aware of that would knock it out of an assumption of going to 33. One of them is they lose to Port Vale, and the other one is that they move it to 34. So that second level doesn't exist for Arsenal Newcastle, because Arsenal are through. But the likelihood of them winning is slightly higher, so it's probably less likely overall to go into 33. But again, it's high enough to go, okay. I mean, I simulated the FA Cup and all this stuff, and I came up with about 4,000 different permutations, most of which are very unlikely, just to kind of see. So if you don't want to look at 4,000 permutations, then, assuming Brighton, Chelsea, and Arsenal, Newcastle into 33 is reasonable to do, and then just be aware that you're not 100% certain. And, you might have to pivot away. But equally, everyone will have to pivot away. Like, people on wildcard 32 who've pressed the button early will go, oh, I don't have Brighton Chelsea in 33 as a double anymore. So even though if you're rolling through or vice versa, then, it's not... People will have less doubles overall rather than just you who play the same fixture slate.
But I guess that changes your chip strategy in a way, right? I mean,
it does, yeah.
If they don't double, then maybe you don't have to free hit in 34 instead. Maybe, there's another week to free hit and so on and so forth. But we're getting into details. But I think we're ranking it. So we're saying Arsenal, Newcastle pretty much nailed on 33. Then the second likeliest is Chelsea, Brighton. And then let's come to Man City, because they're a very important cog in this, because they don't only have this Burnley game, they also have the Palace game to move.
Yes. So, and they're now out of Europe as well, having lost to Real Madrid. So that game week 34 midweek is also available in the same way that it is for Brighton, Chelsea. And it's not got the same pull to 33 that you go, okay, well, it fits on this day, or the specific one put it on this day. I think they probably would put it on the same day as Arsenal, Newcastle on the Wednesday or maybe the Thursday.
Even though there's a Premier League to Premier League clash kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that'd probably be my hedge, but I think it's worth keeping an eye on what Ben Crellin and Tala and James are saying on it as well. But I mean, there's some consideration on if Arsenal Newcastle came. Obviously, if City lose, it just stays in 34, so there's nothing they can do about it. But if Arsenal and City won and they brought Arsenal forward, by the time Arsenal have played that game, Arsenal are 2 games ahead of City in the title race. Like, do they want to do that? I don't think it's like a big deal for them, and City would catch up quite quickly because they play at the weekend. But you would have a week or so of Arsenal having played 2 extra games than City. So yeah, and also if City won, then they might put Burnley City in 33, but then they might want to put City Palace Burnley City into 34 and City Palace into 33. Doesn't fit as well because we've got that West Ham Palace game on the Monday.
They would have to move a fixture.
But they could, they could squeeze them all in or put one of them in 34. So yeah, again, that one I think is probably, it's still got the same appeal of they probably want to put it in 33 to avoid clashing with Champions League stuff. I think putting Burnley City at 8:15 and Arsenal Newcastle at 7:30 on the Wednesday, they might slightly prefer that than putting Burnley City at the same time as a Champions League semi first leg. But yeah, I get less clear, and another level less clear than Brighton Chelsea because it doesn't have that appeal of it fits on a Tuesday when nothing else does. So that one's a bit trickier. Yep. Liverpool Palace. Liverpool are looking, very likely to get through at the time of recording, but presumably by the time you listen, have gone through. So if Liverpool won in that tie against Man City, then Liverpool Palace would have to come to 33 because that would have 34 blocked, even if Palace lose tomorrow. And it especially has to do that. I've jumped to the Liverpool game. It especially has to do that, as we said, because Villa Liverpool in 36 might have to move from 37 to 36 because if Villa make the Europa League final, so it's worth keeping an eye on Villa tomorrow as well, because if Villa go out, let's say Villa went out tomorrow, but Palace went through, and then City beat Liverpool in the FA Cup, they now know that they don't have that potential clash in 37 for Villa-Liverpool to come to 36. So they might want to put City Palace in 33 rather than Burnley City.
Which would also require moving a fixture, but yeah, probably they do that
but then
first.
they might move it, and then they can also bring West Ham Everton forward if West Ham won. They might end up doing that if Villa are out. So Villa has some ramifications, but again, they won away, and they're in a good spot. So keep an eye on those ones. And then we've got West Ham Leeds is the final tie, which is pretty balanced tie. I think West Ham have marginal favourites because they're at home. But for both of these, we think it's more likely it fits back into 34. The reason it might come to 33 is, let's say Port Vale and Southampton both won, then they might want to bring Liverpool and West Ham's game into 33 to have a game on the Tuesday and the Wednesday. So they could do Bournemouth Leeds on Tuesday and Liverpool Palace on the Wednesday. Move that West Ham Palace game from the Monday, put it back on the Saturday or the weekend. But then they fit those in that way. Then they still get their 2 games on TV rather than But if Brighton Chelsea's on the Tuesday, they don't need to bring Bournemouth Leeds. So it's a little bit complicated with the TV picks. I think in previous seasons it's been a little bit cleaner because we have had teams go quite far in Europe and it's been a bit more constrained. A lot of the teams in the FA Cup were still the European teams. We saw last year that it was a bit trickier as well. With what was it? It was like 7 of the 8 quarterfinalists had almost never won or not won the FA Cup in how many years. So a lot of them weren't in Europe either. That's the sort of West Ham Leeds one. But again, that's not changed too much. It's another one where we can't really bank on anything. So Arsenal Newcastle is the most bankable one, followed by Brighton Chelsea, and then after that. I mean, City Liverpool's quite up in there. City are favourites, but 2-1, 67%, 33% on the current markets. So you can't bank, even if we thought Burnley City was going to come to 33, we can't bank on it doing so because
they might not
lose, they might not win. But yeah, we've got those 4 at the bottom as well that are stuck. They've not changed.
Let's spend a second on Palace now because Palace play tomorrow.
Yep.
You made an important point that there is this other element where the Premier League doesn't like that Arsenal keep having these games and they go 12 points ahead with 2 games in hand. It's just aesthetically not as nice. So the theory is that if Palace go out tomorrow, then every midweek is free for Palace, every midweek is free for Man City. Yeah. So, of course, they can do it in a non-clashing weekend like 33 and 36. But if I add this extra element of the Premier League saying, hey, let's get them equal quickly, then are we not thinking that this game is very likely, I mean, I don't know what very is, to go into 32, for example?
So this is the Palace-Man City game. The City-Palace game from Game Week 31. The City-Palace game that hasn't not been played.
Correct.
Yeah, the other clash from the League Cup final, which is, this weekend. Yes, so we thought that was more likely to go to 36 because City and Palace were, favourites for winning the Conference League. And that obviously, they're still more likely not to win it than they are to win it because once you get there. But we thought there was going to be lots of spots blocked off. So it was going to be blocked in 33, which is the other spot because we now have City or Liverpool going through and coming into 33. But yeah, now that midweek in 31 that we talked about, the midweek that's after the international break, but before the Game Week 32 deadline, when the Champions League and Europa League and Conference League quarterfinal first leg is on, would be free. Neither team would be in it. The second leg would be free. That's in 32. And then the semis in 34 and 35 would also open up. So, yeah, the fact that they'd have all the midweeks free, apart from probably 33, because they might have to put one of these 2 in for Liverpool, Palace or Burnley City, means that we can't really be sure where they'd go. But they'd have ample notice to put it into 32. And they wouldn't need to put it into 31 because... if they're trying to be proactive and get it done to get City and Arsenal back on level terms and just to make sure that, we might get an unforeseen postponement. We've had them before where it has to move and you just want to be put it the first time you can with enough notice for the fans, then and it's basically where Newcastle Palace went last year. So they're happy to clash it with these Champions League ones. They're not going to necessarily go, well, Game Week 36 has got no other European teams on, we'll put it there. They go, oh, well, 32 fits. So, yeah, people are sort of debating how likely that is. But I'd say if Palace go out tomorrow, or today, or yesterday, whenever you're listening, it's probably more likely than not to go into 32. I think probably like 50-60% would be my estimate. Again,
that's big.
That's an estimate.
I didn't know that's what you're thinking. Okay.
Yeah, I think like it's the best place for it to fit for where it would go in terms of TV picks. And I think...
I would hate that. I think you would hate that as well.
Strategy-wise, yeah, I think like...
It would be terrible.
Pretty much everyone would wildcard 32. Especially if City then won in the FA Cup. Like if City get back to... Well, even if not, Liverpool, Palace, someone would have back-to-back doubles, probably. 32, 33.
Palace or... You would need...
Or City.
3 free transfers and a wild card.
Yeah.
And then you have a set strategy. You wildcard 32, use 3 transfers to take out the 3 non-doublers for the doublers who are doubling in 33. That could be Man City to Liverpool. It could be Crystal Palace to, say, Burnley or Brighton or Newcastle.
Yeah.
And then you free hit in 34. Everybody will do the same thing, and I would hate it. Like if that happens. The only thing that would hurt is people who've used a chip. Like for you, without doing this without a free hit would be bad. For triple captainers who've got triple captain, the 1 week that the double happens is also the wildcard week, so you won't get a double game week.
Yeah, so the other double outside of 33 is one you have to play a chip in. So I guess you could wildcard 32, bench boost, or triple captain 33 and bench boost later, but... Yeah,
I mean, you'll give up something, right? I mean, otherwise it was 36.
Hit all the doubles, because you'd be wildcarding in a double.
You don't give up.
So I do think that
Let's
would
hope Palace
concentrate our strategies. So yeah, I am hoping Palace win tomorrow. I think I did test it for my team, and I think like obviously different factors come in, different things will have changed by the time it gets to 32. But actually, wildcard 32, and then use all my transfers in 34 to build the free hit team that people are free hitting for, would probably be my best like raw point strategy. I'd probably try and do something different because that just sounds like wildcard into the same team as everyone else, but then don't free hit and use my transfers sounds terrible. But I
have further bad news for you, Johnny.
What's that?
Salah's asked to be subbed off.
Asked to be subbed off.
So when we look at, apparently some groin thing, but we will look at it when we come to your bus team. But I wanted to give you advance notice so you start thinking about what you would say for your bus team.
Okay. I might be okay, actually. I'll just have lost that one.
Of course you will be okay.
Haaland's not playing. He's fine. So, basically, it's not too different from where we were last week. So, I was going to say, if you're not listening, then don't worry. But if you're not listening, you're not hearing this. So, we're still very uncertain, basically. Like, sometimes we get some really obvious ones, or we get... So, like, if Newcastle had beaten Man City in the FA Cup like a round ago, and then drawn Arsenal, then we go, okay, Arsenal Newcastle is a blank, and Arsenal, that would be 100 instead of 88 because we know one of them goes through. So sometimes we get stuff like that, but we haven't got anything that's a certainty. So the summary is, Brighton, Chelsea, Arsenal, Newcastle, very likely, but just be aware they're not certain. Everything else kind of pivots on that City-Liverpool result, and Palace winning or not winning tomorrow is very important for how all the pieces fit together. But as we said at the start, this is a week for trying to not commit to a certain strategy because lots can change by 32, and that's when we expect all of the info to happen after these exciting FA Cup clashes. So that's where we are. Where should we go next?
Let's use a dummy team. I mean, we can use Sir Talp's team. We can use anyone's team. And this is now, listen, guys, if you're not the advanced Solio user, this section is for you, right? I mean, if you're advanced, you already know some of this, but you'll be curious anyway. But especially for those of you who are new to Solio or don't really go beyond pressing that optimize button or changing some minutes, let's make branches. And why this week is perfect for it is because we have almost like a one event, which is Man City winning or Liverpool winning in the FA Cup. And according to me, if I look at it, my chip
according
strategy,
to me, a good source of data.
according to my team,
Go on. Yeah.
I think that if Liverpool win, then that takes you to a certain chip strategy, which I think would be wildcard 32, bench boost 33, free hit 34. Because Palace would be the doubling team in 33, it makes a much nicer bench boost with Palace, Brighton, Newcastle, Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool. So it would be a better bench boost. So therefore, you would have one path where Man City have lost, and so therefore you wildcard 32 and the rest. And the other path that you can explore is that if Man City have won, then you can explore a free hit 33, bench boost, wildcard 35, bench boost 36. Those are the two chips that give the highest expected points over the 8 game week horizon. I've run many others. So we're going to keep it simple and we're going to show you how to build that using a team.
Yes. So I've got Sir T loaded in. Actually quite a good example because for all intents, like no injuries aside, he probably would have been able to roll. He's got 11 players ready. But Chalobah went off injured midweek. So let's say he's out. And Tarkowski didn't play. So we're not entirely sure, but possibly a training injury. So let's say that he's injured this week as well. So that Sir Top has to make a transfer. Presumably.
Salah is as well.
He's going to buy Salah. Well, leave that for now. And then, so in terms of what we're saying about simplifying things, in terms of like, okay, let's assume Arsenal, Newcastle, and Brighton, Chelsea move 34 to 33. Let's assume West Ham, whoever the winner of West Ham leads, their game stays in 34. We're also assuming, by the deadline, you'll know whether Palace have won or not. So we know whether Palace comes into 32. But let's just assume that they do go through or that they need to save it for 36. So I think all those assumptions do lead us to a specific scenario that's not super, super likely, but they are kind of families of scenarios that are very similar. So Arsenal, Newcastle, Brighton, Chelsea, and Burnley City moving to 33 is kind of similar to those three plus a West Ham Everton. It's not hugely different. You might have a Bowen instead of a Welbeck or something like that, but like strategically, not too different. So what we can do is we can just quickly build out two paths here from 31, because this is where we're getting the info. This is where we want to decide. We want to pick for 31, knowing that by 32 we'll know. So for this one, we'll say we're going to wildcard 32. I'll just name it that. And this one, we're going to say wildcard 35. I'll try and describe what I'm doing for audio listeners, but if you are normally a viewer of the YouTube video, this would be a good time to get that one out. And we can also weight this. So let's say that there's like a 2/3 chance I'm going to wildcard 32 and a 1/3 chance that I'm going to wildcard 35.
No, I would flip it.
Flip it. You're going the other way.
The reason is that there's a 1/3 chance that Liverpool win, and if Liverpool win, then I will wildcard in 32. Okay. So I'm trying to tie the two events so that you have some sense of probability. Maybe you have a different view, right? If some people have different events.
Yeah, well, Sir Top's got triple Liverpool and no City, but we'll put it in for now. Let's say
okay.
Let's just, we could even just assume the same scenario and just pick two different strategy paths. But yeah, okay, let's say you want to wildcard 35. You're in charge of Sir Top's team. He's giving you the password.
My gut feel is I want to wildcard in 35. Okay. I don't want City. The idea that Sir Top doesn't have City is a good thing, because if you're wildcard 35, you don't want any City, right? Because you'll free hit in the double that City has, and they play Chelsea away in 32.
I hope he's listening. Give you some advice. So what we've done is we've set up a split path. So we go, okay, there's a 33% chance that I will wildcard 32, bench boost 33, free hit 34, and let's say he's played as triple captain. I think he's actually saved it, but we'll imagine that he is burning it.
Let's amuse him not. Yes.
Or we'll put in 38 just for fun. And there's a 2/3 chance that I go down this path and I free hit 33, wildcard 35, bench boost 36. And if I click on these little dots, I can see what fixtures I've set up here. So we've got Burnley City. So are we saying that this would be the Liverpool Palace? No, the other way. Liverpool Palace, Burnley City, and that?
Correct.
Yeah. And then
which scenario are you in?
The wildcard 32.
The 33.
This is 32.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
That's
and
what
then
I'm saying.
In wildcard 35, then Burnley doubles in 33. Burnley City.
So by the way, just as a basic primer, if anybody's listening and they don't want to change fixtures, right? Because they're like, I don't care about who wins. I'm still not sure. So I'm 75% going to do it. Yeah. No, so I'm just saying that percentage doesn't have to be linked to the Man City Liverpool game.
Yeah.
It can be linked to just your feeling that you feel that you're 3/4 likely to wildcard, but 1/4 you're curious because Pras on every podcast keeps talking about free hit 33. So maybe I want to be open about it. So do 3/4, 1/4. I mean, I'm not asking you to change it, Jonny,
Sure.
but I'm just talking to the listeners that it's up to you what you want these percentages to be.
Yeah. Essentially, it's just how likely it is that I'm going to go down this path, and how likely it is that I'm going to go down this path. And then these little circles just give like what's happened in this path. So by the time we get to 32, which fixtures do we have? But you could just assume one set of fixtures and say, okay, there's 1/3 chance to go down this fixture, to go down this one. You can even just use this to build out manually if you just want to go and like test a few things out and build a few like, oh, I want to do this transfer. But then I have 2 different transfers I want to make the following week. I can just split there and go, okay, like how does that carry on?
Right.
Maybe by the time we're here in 35, you might have a transfer that you want to make, but you're not sure what it means for 36. So you could just split it there, go, I'll put that transfer in, and then that means I can go back to Holland.
But we won't complicate the branches yet.
I'm not.
We won't complicate
this
it.
That's for later.
Yeah.
I get so excited.
For that, we'll look at your bus team and how you've planned.
But what I can do now is I can just press this optimize button across the paths. So I'm trying to find. Serdab's got 3 transfers. What's the best thing to do this week, given that I don't have enough defenders, and I don't have Salah? Given that I might wildcard next week, but I might not. So it's going to find with these weightings as well. So I'll click optimize, and hopefully we'll get a live update. But what this does is it's finding the best hedge move. So it might be that there's one move that's really good down path A and one move that's really good down path B. But if you choose the path B move and then try and go back to path A, you've committed basically. So you've accidentally dead-ended into 32 when actually you wanted to see if you could try and come out later. And you might wildcard 32 anyway. But there's probably a transfer that's maybe slightly worse, or even the same transfer. Sometimes it is just that move.
No, it's very relevant. It's very relevant.
Maybe not wildcard 32. Or,
correct.
In your case, if you want to try and not wildcard 32, you don't want to leave too much on the table this week. You don't want to, you're probably not going to field 10 players to go, I need this transfer once I've wildcarded, so I'm not going to do it, because you're giving up points this week. So it's picked up a Newcastle defender so far. We're loading. So it's moved Chalobah to Malik Chow, because the other defenders are Gabriel, and it's bought another forward. So it's bought Calvert-Lewin.
And they've probably like the Newcastle defender because they have a good fixture this week. They have a good fixture in 32. So even if you didn't wildcard, you have them. And in 34, he's probably hideable because you have other good defenders that even if he has a blank in 32, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, so it saved Tarkowski rather than saving Chalobah, because it knows that while Chelsea probably double in 33, you've either free hit 33 or you've wildcarded already. So you might have think, okay, I want to sell Tarkowski because he's not going to double, and I'll keep Chalobah because he might. But actually, that's fine because Tarkowski is more useful for this specific week in 34. Whereas Chalobah is not useful at all. He's more likely to blank there. His game week 32 fixture is not as good. He's playing City. So I should accept this. Then it has bought Calvert-Lewin. You could... Sometimes it's worth looking going, okay, are any of these moves delayable? So actually, I could decide to play Ekatike and not buy Calvert-Lewin. Calvert-Lewin's a good buy because he's got some good fixtures coming up. In 34, he plays Bournemouth. Then it's quite useful later. Or this week, he's just good. But actually, I think a one move path here might be better. I could just keep Marquis, play
Salah's out.
Play a slightly lower bench. Well, Salah's out, yeah, okay. That's the issue with doing it live during a game. The main thing
but
is
what I mean
defender.
is then you might need to do it.
Yeah,
in case Salah misses
a lot of people have this defender because a lot of them have got Arsenal defence. O'Reilly's been quite popular, even Lacroix and Munoz. Most people, well, not I do. I know a lot of other people do as well. Probably need to buy a defender. So they're looking at Chow or Hall or Tete or Anderson or whatever. So the reason that Chow comes up nicely is because, he's good in 32. Playing against Palace when we've got slightly weaker. We've got Senesi against Arsenal. We've got, Wilson against Liverpool. So actually buying Tete or Anderson wouldn't work as nicely here because if I need them in 32, sure, they've got a fixture in 34, but I don't need that because I've got Virgil, Senesi, and Tarkowski. So I found a nice move. And actually, I think intuitively, I might not thought Chalobah to Chow. I'll have gone Tarkowski to Chow because, well, if I think Chalobah's back in 32, obviously if he's out for longer, then he goes out. But that's just a very simple, like, okay, I want to test a couple of things out. Once you get comfortable with those, you can build way more. Like, I'm getting excited again. You can build complicated things. Pras keeps me humble. Let's
but I want to keep this discussion, especially the demo one, very, very simple for those who want to just dabble a little bit in branches, but are too scared, because I get a lot of comments on, we just never use the branches. We never do this optimization kind of thing. We just press solve. But no, guys, you can do this. And by the way, Jonny, if you keep going right, you can actually compare the two paths as well. So this is obviously early, right? But this is the thing where if you look at the two paths and we look at the total expected points, one is giving you 571 points, one is giving you 573.8 points. Another thing for you to say, you should be open-minded between the two paths as well, because there's literally less than 3 points in it over 8 game weeks.
You've used one fewer transfer in the top path.
Exactly.
Like you've ended with 2 spare, whereas this one's only got 1 spare. So
I mean, I have a whole other rant on why the above path should be more points. But honestly, because right now we don't know the unknowns, right? We don't know if a player gets injured, or if Pep decides to make Semenyo not the flavor of the month, or Nico Riley the flavor of the month. Wildcard 35 will address new information better than any transfers that you will make, because all your transfers in the lower path go into getting the 3 doublers of Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
You have no transfers left to react to any changes in Arsenal, if Arsenal have won the league, any injuries. So it's a very, what do you call it? It's a path which is very expensive, or what's
fragile?
the word? Yeah, it's fragile because you're using all your transfers to get the doublers, whereas the wildcard path is a little fragile, but you're keeping a couple of transfers for your game week 32, 34. But then wildcard 35 will fix the issues where whatever the lay of the land is at that point. So you're again making your path a lot more robust, which is not really captured in expected points right now, because right now the path says Gehi good. In wildcard 35, in wildcard 30, it may not be true. So that's another thing, but this is not my agenda for
but I mean, these are
35.
perfectly compatible. If you solved it like this and you went, this path is like 20 points worse, then you go, okay, this isn't really worth me trying to hedge across the two. Like, this just isn't as good a path. I should really not care about it.
Yeah.
But there's probably even some other paths that are like kind of similar that would come up with decent points. Maybe they're ones that you have to like commit to this week, or wildcard this week would be one. You can't undo that. But there'll be other paths that kind of make sense. And equally, like, if you get to 32 and this team's we've got Calvert-Lewin as first bench, so you probably can deal with a small injury. But if you get here and you've got 3 or 4 injuries, like, just wildcard, you can always just back out of it and go the other way. Because then you go, actually, I'd already planned this potential path, so I don't have to like go, my plans have gone all wrong. What do I do? How do I get out of this? It's like, well, actually, each week I'm just making a few plans, and you kind of prune them down, and you get there, and you go, okay, like once I've pressed wildcard 32 button, I can't go and hop over here. I've pressed it, but I could wildcard 32 and then realize that I don't have enough transfers to put the bench boost out, and actually I can bench boost over here. This bench boost is okay.
Those are for your branches for next week.
Something for but yeah, you don't have to worry about that now. The main thing now is like, which way am I steering this week, and then when I get to next week, which way do I steer there? So you just go, okay, there are a few directions I might want to steer next week. So I don't want to go too far left, because next week I might want to go to the right. What's my drive down the middle? Be ready to steer later path. But yeah, I think that's a nice way to play around with it. So there you go.
And if people want to do it, if you want to do 2 more branches, I'm not going to make you do it, Jonny.
Okay.
You could do one simply with saying, this is going to be my chip strategy, without doing the percentages, and then you do one with the other one. So now you have 3 branches, and then you see what the transfer differences are. Are they fundamentally different? Like, if you were just on one or the other? Are they fundamental? But if you get Malik Chow in all of them, then that should already solve your headache in terms of, is Chow better or is Anderson better? Well, given your path and your strategy and your team and your rotation, for you, Chow is better. At least that's what models try to help you do. And that's what I wanted to use this section to sort of explain, because ultimately both are good. Like, stop comparing Chow with Anderson. Both are good. It depends on your team and your path.
And then sometimes you also go through all this rigmarole and you plan a few things out and it goes like, well, actually, it really like both work for the strategy. And then you can go, okay, I can put my effort into working out which one I really think, like, do I tactically think Newcastle's clean sheet odds make sense this week because they're coming up against these Sunderland wingers or whatever. But if it turns out that strategically the Newcastle defender just makes way more sense by 4 or 5 points, then it's not worth you trying to really drill into whether Newcastle are better this week than Fulham or not, or how much that. But you just go, oh, well, actually, it's just going to always be better in all these scenarios. I don't need to worry about that. I need to worry about working out which player to captain with my sort of limited resources. So I think it helps you like focus on which bits are going to be useful. Sometimes it does turn out that, it is my personal preference on Chow versus Anderson, but sometimes it goes, okay, well, actually, this one just is going to make a lot more sense for you. Go with that.
I'm going to give you 5 minutes to make a case because you have a niche strategy for wildcard 31. Now, when you brought it up to me, and I was like, who's going to wildcard 31, man? It makes no sense. But with the injuries piling up, Chalobah, potentially Salah, potentially, who else is injured?
Tarkowski missed the game.
Tarkowski missed the game. So we'll see. Villa play tomorrow. I mean, not to wish injury on anyone, but if people are in a position where they're thinking, okay, my team looks terrible. I've got 1 free transfer and I've got 4 problems. What is this wildcard 31? How can you think about wildcard 31?
People have been carrying Mark Guiu as well, so they might be like, okay, like I've got a player with a fixture, but he's not going to play, even though he's not injured. He might as well be. But yes, I think some people might end up in a position where basically, so I've loaded my team in, but I've reduced the number of transfers. So like, if I wanted to get a good team out, but like maybe I need a hit, you're looking at a hit to field 11 essentially, then your team's quite weak this week, and that might be okay. You're like, I still think it's okay to go, okay, I'm going to take the hit because I really want the information in 32. Like, I'm kind of locked into this wild card. I quite like the players I'm taking a hit for. Like, I'm getting, double Newcastle defense against Sunderland. I get Anthony Gordon. I get whatever. That's not to say this strategy doesn't work. But I think if you are in hit territory, then it's worth looking at wildcard 31 because it kind of mostly hinges on Chelsea and Brighton. So if we do assume that comes into 33, Chelsea have got a pretty good fixture this week away at Everton. This has got Chalobah in, who obviously wouldn't be there now. But you load up on those doublers. Newcastle, another one, got really good fixtures, 31, 32, 33. Arsenal, good fixtures, 32, 33. And then you can bench them this week. Haaland, you can go with. Bruno's got good fixtures anyway for 31 and 32. Then you can move him to someone else if you want to, or even in 33 is kind of okay. Elliot Anderson's just good every week. And Leeds have also got good fixtures. They've even got a small chance of a double, so if they come through. So it's mostly these teams that you're building up with. And essentially what you're hedging on is that you're basically going, I'm going to free hit. You can pivot between free hit 33 and 34 if you wanted to. So
this team pretty much commits 34 free hit, right? Because you're going so heavy on Brighton, Chelsea, and Arsenal.
But they don't always blank in 34.
Okay.
So but
these are the likeliest.
Well, they're not the likeliest, but you're still ready for it. You're still okay. So like actually, if I compare this team, this is the top scenario. So this is the Arsenal, Brighton, Burnley, all double in 33. Actually, I can get a bench boost out that's basically as good. For Bruggen, Chalobah, not Chalobah anymore. Calvert-Lewin and Stack. I've got Leeds against Wolves as part of the bench boost. I can free it in 34, and then actually I'm well set for 36. But I can actually, I threw a few like weird scenarios at this one. So one of them was that like Brighton and Chelsea don't double, in which case like my double is smaller here. But actually, if they're not doubling anyway, you can do that here. But you could also bench boost in 33 because 36 even. Brighton have got Wolves in 36, so they've got probably a double in 33. If not, they've got Wolves in 36. It's the same thing over here, and then you would free hit in 33. This is if double game week 36 is bigger. Right. So I've put Liverpool Palace in, I've put Man City Palace into 36, and I've brought Villa Liverpool from 37 forwards. I can bench boost over here. I've got 2 Brighton against Wolves. I've got Anderson. I've got Calvert-Lewin, and I can free hit in 33 here if I want to. I can get, the Liverpool guys. If Liverpool double in 33, I can free hit there rather than bench boosting. Whereas if Liverpool play in 34, I free hit there. So basically I free hit wherever Liverpool Palace goes in 33 or 34. And I bench boost in 33 if Liverpool Palace isn't there, and I bench boost in 36 or 35 or somewhere else. But in those scenarios, bench boost isn't super strong in 33 for a lot of people anyway. So actually bench boosting elsewhere, I mean, your strategy is looking at bench boost 36. So I think you can kind of hedge it. And then even these are smaller doubles, but I do think it would be worth considering. I think there's a way to like kind of build around it. And actually, if I score these 2 in terms of the hits, like I'm gaining 3 points this week. And this is actually still a good team. Like people would have a worse team than this, potentially. This is a hit, but everyone's looking pretty strong. Whereas this one gets out, I get to Bruno. Maybe you don't have Bruno already. Like it's scoring more points. I know that it's, I did solve this across. I build like 8 branches, and I solved it across those 8 branches.
Do not try this at home.
I've deleted those to stop scaring people and just left the main one just to kind of show the example. But the way I picked this wildcard squad was going, okay, what do I do if this? And actually, it can kind of cope with a lot of them in terms of free hitting or elsewhere. You do lose some flexibility. Like, if you wildcard now and you've got some issues in 32, then you're a bit stuck. And it depends how many transfers you've got. But I've only given 2 transfers in 32. You might actually have more, in which case you go, okay, I don't want to use 4 or 5 this week to just get an okay team out. Maybe I do want to wildcard. But I know some people have been looking at it. I think it's a bit, in some cases, like maybe free hit 31 makes more sense than you wildcard in 34 probably, which is what mine's going to be. This was if you've got a lot of City and Palace already, but if you've got a lot of players that are injured, or you've got like triple Arsenal outfield rather than being able to hide a Raya for a Dubravka, then I think you could look at it. And like, if you were eyeing up already, I wouldn't be put off of it being too maverick a strategy. Potentially.
No, it's fair enough.
I think it can work, basically.
I'm more open to it than when I've just heard it. Yeah. I would still be very nervous on fixtures falling slightly differently than we've planned, or that Liverpool fixture, if Liverpool win, I would still be uncomfortable. I know you can free hit in 33, but then you already have so much Brighton and Chelsea and Arsenal. So in a scenario where Brighton, Chelsea moves, Arsenal, Newcastle moves, but then also Liverpool, Crystal Palace move, team looks weak in 34 if you free hit it in 33. So I know we're looking at the whole horizon, and obviously the solver does all of that, but it just makes me a little nervous in terms of the short-term impact if that sort of stuff happens. But I get it. I mean, this is all relative, right?
And you're kind of taking a wider range of outcomes bet and going like, well, if this scenario happens, I do really well because I jumped ahead of people and I didn't take that hit, and I actually, I'm well set for 33 and I made my 31 team better when it would have been worse. And there are some scenarios that, you do a chunk worse. But also if you're in a position where you're trying to chase, then that might be something you want to do. You might want to go, okay, like I want to make the good scenarios really good and the bad scenarios really bad, rather than kind of flattening out across I just want to make sure I can kind of hold on. So it's not something I've used my free hit. I'm definitely not doing this. And I think it's probably something I wouldn't say I super advocate for, like, this is the best thing for you to do. But it's a lot closer than I thought. I think it's a viable strategy, in my opinion. And I think if you're really, really stuck this week, then there are ways out of it. I think wildcard 31 isn't as odd as it might first look. Basically, that's all.
Excellent. Shall we quickly do free hit 31 as well? Because some people might be thinking about that. What is the Solio recommended? I know Rob posts the free hit team before deadline, so look out for that because market odds change. But let's just do as it stands a free hit team. I want to see how it looks. How far are we in our teams from it?
Let me just injure Alaba. Do I want to injure Salah as well?
Unfortunately.
Sorry, Salah. You're gone. Okay, let's try again. How does that look? Leno, Anderson, Chow, Hall.
Yeah, that's double. I think that would be popular.
Yeah,
those are the highest clean sheet.
A double because you get a bit of the exposure to. I get a double clean sheet, but you're not like tripled up or banking on first clean sheet or anything. You've got your big attackers. You've got Bruno. You've got Palmer, Gordon, Szoboszlai. Obviously, he does quite well when Salah's not out. Inherits a lot of the penalties. Maybe
Pens. Yeah.
He did miss a pen, but Wilson, very good. And then we've got Watkins against West Ham. I suppose he might not be.
Watkins is interesting. I would ban Watkins.
I mean, it depends how they do tomorrow. Like he might get rested for Abraham, but I can just say let's say we don't want Watkins. I think it's going to bring Calvert-Lewin in and just Thiago on the bench. So very similar. Yeah, I mean you can kind of pick your front seven of your favourite players. Got Vicario on the bench, very exciting. But yeah, I think this Fulham and Newcastle defences are the ones people are looking at to pick up. So you get to double up on both of them and pick a strong front seven. You could probably tailor that. I think there'll be a lot of point if I go to the projections for 31. Like there's going to be a lot of players around this kind of 4.4, 4.3. If you don't, you could get Mbomo and double up on Man United. You could get Raul if you wanted to not have Wilson or only have a single defender or something like that. I think there's a lot of players around here. So you could Thiago, quite popular. If you want to go different or you want to cover high ownership people, I think.
We need to get the blobs out. Maybe for the free hit.
Yes, we'll ask James.
After from free hit 33, 34, we need the blobs. James needs
they'll be back.
Get working.
So it's pretty strong. And then, this is scoring about 59 points and these teams are scoring 52, 53.
It's still not amazing in the context of you want your free hit to get you 20 plus points. It's just like when you look at the Rob T numbers, right? The famous Rob T graphic. It's a week where no team has over 2 expected goals. And only 2 teams have over 30% clean sheet odds, and that tells you everything.
Yeah, it's a bit flat. I mean, we have just seen goals kind of going down generally this season. I think actually, we're not expecting as many. Obviously, a week where there's none and there's only 3 or 4 teams above 1.5 is quite low. But I think we can't really be expecting as many of these weeks where we get 3 or 4 teams hitting 2+ very regularly anymore. But that's not really translated to the clean sheets either. This is the league's very flat, so to speak, in the sense that the bad teams, some of them are quite bad, but bad teams aren't that bad, and the good teams aren't always that good relatively, and it's very defensive. And what do we do? DEFCONs. Where are the DEFCON players? That's what we need. Don't know.
What's your thinking? Last thing before we get to bus teams. What's your thinking in terms of how greedy should you be with transfers? My general feeling is that no matter what, you'll need transfers between the 32-33 and the 35-36 transition. The 32-33 simply because, let's say there's no doubles and it lands like this. I think you'll still, when you wildcard in 32, you'll want to get a Bruno for captaincy, for example, in Gameweek 32. Or you might want to get a Bowen home to Wolves before you go to João Pedro. So you may need those transfers which are more than luxury. Actually, in Bruno's case, it'll be to actually captain the best captain in Gameweek 32. Yeah. Then there's the transition from 35 to 36, where you'll want to move to the doublers. So you'll want to move some of your players to the Crystal Palace players in the Man City winning scenario. So are we they can get more EV. Let's say if I do a Leno transfer, Dubravka to Leno.
Yeah.
The question is, should you do that?
I was going to say that feels greedy, but also how greedy is swapping from the Burnley keeper to the Fulham keeper. You greedy boy. It's not, it's like maybe one.
Well, you're going from
one
16% clean sheet odds to 42%.
Yeah, I mean, it's a whole one projected point, but I think, the transitions. So, for example, you can set up a Bruno to a Palmer move in 32 to 33 or whatever you want to do with that one. But if you don't do it, it's not like it's like awful. Like, you maintain your value in Bruno, and he's still quite good on the. He'd be your bench boost player in 33, and that's not the end of the world. So like, you might want to look at those and see how much are you gaining by selling. Not having Bruno on your 33 team or starting with Palmer on your 32 wild card and kind of seeing what the gap is there to kind of see what kind of transfers. I think the tricky one to imagine is. Also, if you wildcard 32 and have one transfer in 33, but you're going to bench boost, if you get 2 issues, you're into a hit. So having that one spare, I think, is fine. And also having it spare for 36 to 37 might be trickier than we think. If Villa win tomorrow and Liverpool win in the FA Cup after when you're wildcarding in 32, then the chance of a 36 to 37 being a double to a blank, or even 2 doubles, 1 blank in 36 and 1 blank in 37, that's a lot trickier. Like you go, okay, I can't get as many Villa. There's likely to be opportunities to use them later. So if you're like, oh, I'm going to use it now because it's not going to be useful later, I think that would be greedy. And I don't think there's too much to really chase this week. Like a lot of people will have a good captain. Like you probably got Bruno or Wilson or someone like that. So most people are just trying to get out an 11. So you get that extra defender. It's like, okay, it's worth me buying Malik Chow over even just a bad defender, whether that's a bad defender or someone with a tough fixture, or it would be a tricky defender. I don't know. Maybe you've got an Estev still, or you've got a Mukiele.
Alderete is a good one. Because I have Alderete.
Yeah. So I think
I could play him.
Chow over Alderete is probably worth it because that's enough of a gap. But I think it's also tricky with like how greedy you are depending on how many transfers you have. So if you leave yourself with 1 in 32, I think you'd have to have done something pretty good this week to get it. So maybe that's, you have 9 players and you're now fielding 11. That's worth it. But using that transfer to go from 2 to 1 is like you're kind of using your insurance for later. So you may well be fine. And your wildcard 32 is going to be set up in a way that you assume you're not doing anything in 33. But yeah, stuff can go wrong. Like having that backup insurance, I think it's unlikely that you get to 36 or 37 and go, oh, I really wish I'd spent that extra transfer in 31. For some reason, I've got 3 and nothing to do with them. But it's hard to say. I don't know. What do you think?
We're going to need transfers. No, this is so... I think you summarized it well, and this is where, again, what we just did, the exercise we did helps, right? If the model is asking you to make 2 transfers out of your 3 or 1 out of your 2, it's doing it because it's seeing that in certain paths you may need that second one. So I think, again, using a solver helps in understanding this because it's subjective ultimately. Like we can say, yes, you should probably carry 1 or 2. Ideally, when you wildcard, you should have 2 free transfers. But who knows, right? I mean, there is a long international break to come. If you're not planning to wildcard, it's even more necessary to retain. Not only do you have the 2 games in the international break, they will come off the back of that, play the FA Cup. They will play in Europe. That's when Gameweek 31 starts. So I don't know if there's we'd like to give a more objective answer, but the more subjective one is don't get too greedy and define what greedy is.
Maybe a rule of thumb would be whether, if it's fielding a player over not fielding a player or someone who's down the bottom of one of these lists, so like Sunderland, Everton, Burnley, or if it's not a keeper. So if you want to captain Anthony Gordon and if you bought him, you would captain him. That's maybe more valuable. But again, it also ties into how committed to the game wildcard 32 are you? So actually, maybe making the second transfer looks a bit greedy now, but it pays dividends in your non-wildcard 32 path. So you're going, okay, it's a little bit greedy, but if I don't wildcard, then it's good. I've not bought. I think buying the Fulham players this week is a bit greedy because if you don't, well, not necessarily. It's greedier than the Newcastle ones because they're both good. But in the Newcastle instance, you're also kind of buying insurance that you don't wildcard 32. Whereas the Fulham ones, you're kind of committing even harder to 32 because they've got a fixture 32, don't play, double 33, etc. Maybe.
Okay, let's do bus teams.
Yes, where are you? That's the free hit team. Your team. 0. Oh, we want the full view. We've got your paths. I think I put them in.
Have you put them in? Oh, that's very nice of you. Thank you.
Here's your wildcard free hit.
So yes. this is the path that I made.
You found your hedged moves.
I found my hedged move, exactly. Honestly, I had banned Salah. Now actually this is my optimal
Good
move.
foresight.
Earlier it was giving me Calvert-Lewin and Salah as the two moves for Haaland and Potts, which I have been planning. Even last week I could have done it, but I didn't do it. Got lucky with it with the Bruno
captaincy. I did it 2 weeks ago.
You did it 2 weeks ago. Move. So it's a good move.
James did it 3 weeks ago.
Well, that was very unlucky. Did you start Calvert-Lewin as well?
He came off the bench from Munoz.
Oh man, that's unlucky. All right.
So be it. Funny.
So it's a move that makes sense, but I just thought it made more sense last week when you wanted to captain Salah over now this week where Wilson is actually higher expected points than even Salah, and then after the international break I have no visibility on Salah, and I don't actually even need to play him. If you look at this team in the path, game week 32, I actually roll. So therefore the move that works best for me in this scenario, which assumes that 75% I will not wildcard in 32, 25% I will, or is it 33? 60,
I put 33, like 67.
Yeah, but I think that's what it was. That's what it was. That basically means that I do Potts to Wilson, who's probably the second best, although this is all small numbers this week, so I don't want to call him the second best by a margin. He's probably the second best captain this week.
He's your vice captain. Yeah.
He's your vice captain. And Bowen is the little bit of the hedge, the one we've talked about, which he doesn't have the best fixture this week away to Villa, but because of his route to points, actually he's not too far behind your Thiagos or, the other players that we saw on the free hit. So you're giving up about 0.2, 0.3 of EV if I went João Pedro, for example, if I went Calvert-Lewin. But what it gives me is that he plays Wolves at home in game week 32, and that's the money fixture where he's 5.2 expected value. Really good value. So that means that if I go Bowen, I'm pushing myself not to wildcard in 32. And that's what I've told the solver, that 75% I don't want to. So therefore, getting Bowen in this week would help with that. Now, there is one other layer which I haven't obviously branched out, which is if Palace end up losing tomorrow, then the beliefs change again, where I don't want to lose Haaland because I think I may need Haaland very quickly. It could be as soon as game week 32. So why should I lose value in him? Why should I make this suboptimal pick in Bowen? So in that case, if Palace do lose tomorrow, then my move could be simply just Rice to Wilson and then leave it, carry 2 more free transfers. So
rather than play Alderete.
Correct. Yeah. No, then I would have to play Alderete.
Yeah.
I could use a second transfer and do Potts to somebody, and that somebody could be Anderson, could be Tavernier. It has to be somebody under 5.7 million. I could even do Iwobi if I know that I'm definitely dead ending. So it's these scenarios where if on Friday they announce the game week 32 fixture, then I can get Wilson and Iwobi and almost dead end, carry 1 extra free transfer, and then take it wildcard in 32. But that I will decide on Friday. As of now, with keeping all my options open, I'm looking to do Haaland to Bowen and Potts to Wilson, and then take 1 extra free transfer.
I mean, I guess there's also, we didn't cover it in too much detail, but the City Palace game, there is still a very small chance it goes back into 31. So we think 32 makes more sense because it fits that it's the same, clash that you're having with a quarterfinal of the Champions League, but you just give the fans a bit more notice. But if Palace lose tomorrow, I mean, by the time you're listening to us, they might have announced it. If Palace lose tomorrow, you'd know before the game week 31 deadline. If they don't announce it on Friday, then it's not going into 31. I'm pretty 99.9%.
But next week they could announce it for 32.
Yeah, they could announce it for 32, they could announce it for 31, they could not announce it at all. But if they announced it for 31, you're definitely not selling Haaland because he's got a game.
Exactly.
Albeit 2 weeks after everyone else's. I think that's a good plan for now. I think Palace, Palace, I think, are priced about 75% likely to. I know they drew 0-0 at home, but they're still favoured. So I think we're still expecting them to probably go through, but we don't know. And then, I mean, also, like, yeah, if you get that double we talked about, then yeah, probably wildcarding them 32 to get all the extra Palace guys, etc., etc. But yeah, it's a nice sort of hedge move. And then Captain Bruno, presumably over.
Captain Bruno. I don't think there's any doubt there. I mean, yes, Wilson can be a chasing captain, but why would I give a value and captain against my boy Bruno?
Everyone's very happy with Bruno. Yeah, he's good.
He's like,
I think if you buy Bowen, that would mean 5 of the 8 people in our Solio mini league would have Jared Bowen. I don't know how we
really.
But yeah, half of us have him already. I've got him. James has got him. Rob bought him last week. He bought him instead of.
We like our route to points. What can I say?
I don't know where we got Jared Bowen from, but he's very popular in the Solio mini league somehow.
Then I'm definitely doing it because now I'm 75% doing it.
He's been great.
75% likely to win.
I called him Elliot Anderson, but up front.
Yeah.
He's just an 8 million forward who gets DEFCON sometimes and gets the odd assist and probably takes pens.
He's on penalties, unlike Elliot Anderson.
Maybe. We're not sure about that. Let me load up my team. This is me. Oh, this is all the wildcard stuff. Build a new one. So, this is... Oh, I have more than that. I have more transfers. That was for testing purposes. I'll go to 4. I think I've got 4. I have 4 transfers, and I have this team. We can zoom in. Don't need the tree. My chip strategy is fairly... Well, I'll say fairly straightforward. I decide it once we get to 32, but it's more than likely wildcard in 34 because I've used my free hit already. So that 33 to 34 transition is going to be tricky. If there's 3 fixtures moving, I can wildcard in 34. The dream scenario for me is that Liverpool win because I've got lots of Liverpool players here. So if they double in 33, obviously maybe I don't have Salah. But they would double. I don't need to swap back to Haaland. And also it means that City would play in 34 and probably double in 36. If a wild card in 34, I can just play triple City against Burnley rather than having to have some of them on the bench to then get for double 36. Palace would then blank, but I can put them on the bench with the Arsenal guys and whoever. And then it's basically I've got bench boost and triple captain, so it's where do I use those around that kind of pivot. So the likeliest one is to bench boost 33, and then triple captain in 36, presumably if there's another double. But I could triple captain 33 and bench boost in 35, 36 if I wanted to, and kind of move it around if I felt like. Well, if I felt like I wasn't able to put a good bench out in 33, but I've got enough transfers that. Okay, so this move, I'm 1 player short. Even with Salah out, I've got Szoboszlai. He was on the bench, or Bowen or Thiago. So I have 8 attackers. But actually, Salah out, I haven't checked it, but I'd probably just bench him if he's out for 1 game, if he's not out for longer, because I've got 7 attackers. I've got Anderson, Bruno, Szoboszlai, Ndiaye, Calvert-Lewin, Thiago, and Bowen. And then I'm probably going to sell Munoz. I think Munoz or Lacroix is probably the one I'm going to sell rather than Gabriel. But if I do Munoz to Manet Chow, then that gives me an 11 this week. Because I'm pretty much not wildcarding 32 unless Palace goes in, then he's good because he's the best defender 31, 32, 33, with assuming that they double. I've got my 11 out. And then by the time I get to 33, I'll have 5 transfers. And I mean, that bench is already kind of okay. Like, I'd want more players, I'd want City players and whatever. But I've got Dubravka and Raya, I have 2 doubling keepers. And I just start picking up whoever I want with my, I'll have 4 transfers in 32 and 33, and then a wildcard in 34. So I use all my transfers probably to build out the best bench boost I can and wildcard in 34. But essentially, I just need to get to 32 with lots of transfers and a team that can keep playing. So Malet Chow lets me do that. Get to 32. Strong team here. Salah's back, maybe. So this team's good. Got 4 transfers. Can build to, I'll have some doubling in 33 already, but I'll have 5 transfers in 32 and 33 to maximize that. If I'm triple captaining and not bench boosting, I don't have to use them all. I can save them for afterwards. So I can always triple captain 33 and bench boost another time. But I mean, the team's like, I've got Bruno here. I've got strong 32 team. Got Jared Bowen against Wolves, all sorts. So the team's in a good nick for, like, I'll bench Salah for. There we are. So that's the plan. So it's one move. I'm not really just thinking about a double Fulham defender because I need him in 32. So there's not a huge amount for me to do this week.
Would Palace losing tomorrow make you keep Munoz?
I don't know, because I mean my other two are Lacroix and
you literally
Gabriel.
don't have a defender to sell. Yeah.
Like I have to sell Lacroix or Gabriel or Munoz.
Yeah.
So if I don't want to sell a Palace one, I'm selling Gabriel. Who I'd much less likely sell. I think I'd maybe sell Lacroix instead of Munoz. Munoz has been spotted, and I think he's going to play.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
But I think because at 32-33, I think Lacroix does slightly better because the game's a bit tougher, so it's more of a DEFCON E game.
DEFCON.
And he's also like 0.7 cheaper, so I don't have a specific use for that.
If I'm wildcarding, I'm picking Lacroix over Munoz. I know Munoz enthusiasts won't like it, but 90 minutes, get some goals.
I mean, I think because I know he's going to play and because I think the projected points are going to be quite similar for 32-33, then I might as well just go, okay, well, I've got that spare 0.6, if I need it, and sell Munoz. I mean, if he was still injured, if he didn't play tomorrow, then it's easy. Even though I know he's got an international break to come back, I'll just sell the injured one. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'll do with Salah if he is out or what. But if he's just a doubt for this week, I actually don't have to do anything else. I've lucked into a bench player. I had a benching headache before that. If I put Salah back to playing, then I had Bowen, Thiago, Calvert-Lewin, Ndiaye, Szoboszlai, all on quite close points. So there we are. Even fewer decisions. Thank you, Mary. There we go.
I love your attitude, man. Like so many transfers and no stress. I like it. Well, those of you who want to go back on the video, you'll see a little tab called analysis.
What?
Which we are not going to say much about right now, but it's in the works. And when the time is right, we will show you. But we've obviously done a sneak peek. We've looked at it. I've gone through it.
I didn't click on it.
It is incredible. So that's all I will say.
Coming soon. Yeah.
Coming soon.
Very exciting. Anything else to say before we go?
No, that's it. I said I was going to say don't remember. It's a Friday deadline.
Forget.
You should remember.
Yeah.
It's a Friday deadline.
To my enemies, don't remember. To my friends, don't forget.
To my friends, don't press the wildcard button on Friday night. Chill out. Just leave your team. Just wait 2 weeks. Chill out. Nothing's going to happen. 0.3 price movement is a lot less than your decision on the chip strategy.
You can just downgrade Munoz to Lacroix and then your problem's solved. There you go.
Upgrade Munoz to Lacroix and then your problems are solved anyway. So yeah, that's all I will say. And we will be taking a little bit of a break over the international break because there's nothing much to say. I'll be going for the England-Japan friendly with my son. So that'll be fun. Hopefully England put out a strong team, the final friendly before the World Cup. So we'll see how it goes.
Scotland's qualified already. No need for any exciting matches. But yeah, good luck to Wales are still in the playoff and everything. And yeah, some big games. Yeah, it'll be exciting. And best of luck for Game Week 31. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yes, of course. Please do that.
Spotify and all sorts. And yeah, come play with the tool. Come have a go. Build 2 branches. That's your New Year's.
Start with 2.
International break resolution. Build 2 branches and have a go.
Put in the comments if you were able to do the 2-branch thing. I would love to hear from people.
Well, tell us what 2 branches you made. Yeah.
Exactly. All right. Lovely. Thank you very much for joining. See you guys in a bit. Good luck for Game Week 31.